Some people lost their jobs. Other people made a lot of money. At the same time as the Industrial Revolution, there was a long war in Europe, all the European nations against France, because the ruling elite of Europe was terrified by the French Revolution. So this war went on for 23 years, and it made all the problems worse. High taxes to pay for the war. So the price of bread doubled. In those days, every family would buy a 4-pound loaf. What is this, 2 kilos maybe? A 2-kilo loaf. And the price of a loaf of bread like that doubled. And this was a crisis for people, ordinary families. And one of the high points in the Armour of Light is when it's something called the revolt of the housewives, when the women broke into the baker's shops and stole the bread to feed their families. So these are the dramas that come out of history. And at the climax of the Armour of Light is the Battle of Waterloo, which ended the war. It didn't solve any problems. This happens, doesn't it, in history? We have a long war and it doesn't solve any problems. And the people went back, the soldiers went back from the war to the same old conflicts between workers and owners. So that's the spread of the Armour of Light. I talk about the history, but the stories are all about the characters and the problems that they face and the things they worry about and the things they are hoping for and the people they fall in love with. Sometimes they fall in love with the right person and sometimes they fall in love with the wrong person. And that's life. So that's the story. I hope you may have time to read it, and if you do, I hope you'll enjoy it. Well, I discovered that, I had, in the first draft, I had people smoking. I had men smoking cigars. And one of the historians said to me, no, it's too early. People in England didn't smoke cigars until the soldiers went to Spain. And when the British soldiers went to Spain, they saw these people smoking, instead of a pipe, they were smoking these cigars. And they thought, that's much better than a pipe. And so all the English soldiers took cigars home, and that's when English people started to smoke cigars. So I don't know if we should say thank you to Spain for that.
And Ken, tell us a little bit about the characters, the main characters in your novel. Which is your favorite character in this novel?
Well, the first character who you'll meet in this novel is called Sal, and at the beginning of the story, she is a spinner. That means that she takes a lump of cotton, raw cotton or wool, and she has a big wheel, and she turns the wheel and she makes thread. And then the thread can be used for weaving. So this is her job, she's a spinner. And she discovers early in the story that this spinning wheel is now obsolete. Now there's a machine that will spin 8 threads at a time. So it will do the work of 8 women. And then soon, 16. And finally, in a museum in Manchester, England, I saw a machine that would spin 560 threads at the same time. And so for hundreds of years, these women had been spinning with this big wheel, and now the wheel is obsolete. So that's a problem for Sal. But quickly, she gets a job in a factory, minding a machine. Instead of doing this, she's taking care of the machine. So here's a down and an up for Sal. In Kingsbridge, where the factory is, she becomes an agitator with the trade union. This was a big issue in the late 18th century. The government banned trade unions, and people formed trade unions against the law. And there were terrific conflict was formed. And I use this word conflict because, of course, without a conflict, there's no story.